Hey guys, if you want to build a Flutter app, it is quite good to know where to start and how the state and lifecycle works. After this video, you can start off building a Flutter app and understand some of the basic concepts. You need to have Flutter installed. If you haven't installed it yet, there is a tutorial on my channel, you can check it out. So to create the app, you type Flutter create and then the app name, let's say Flutter demo. And it is important to use underscores instead of dashes, because there's a naming convention. Let's open up the project folder. So now here you have all the pre-generated code. To run the app, go to run a debug, then create a launch.json file, start in Flutter, and then you have the different launch profiles. And you don't have to change anything there. The first launch configuration automatically selects the first device that Flutter detected. How to find out your devices? You can run a command called flutter devices, but first you need to start the Android emulator in order to show up. In Android Studio, you start the virtual device manager, and there you can just start the device. If you have no device listed there, you need to create one first, which I explained in my Flutter installation tutorial. When running Flutter devices now, the Android emulator shows up first. Now you can click on run or just hit F5 and the application starts up. Now let's go into the actual files. So Flutter always starts with a main.dart. The basic concept of Flutter is that it consists of widgets. The widget is defined by other lower level widgets. Let's take a look at the myApp class, which is a widget. And like every widget, it has a build function. And in that function, there are the lower level widgets defined. Like here we have the material app, which consists of a title and a theme. And at the end, we have basically a tree of widgets until you end up with a widget that gets only a primitive type like a string or something as an input and not another widget. And since these nestings get very long and you might want to create another page, you can create a new widget in a new file. And the root of the widget tree is here in the main function, the run app. And this is the starting point of the application. And now the material app defines an application that uses the material design. And the first page is the My Home page that we can see here. You might have noticed that the My App is a stateless widget, whereas the My Home page is a stateful widget. These are the two different types of widgets. As the name suggests, the stateful widget does have a state, whereas the stateless widget does not. Also, the build methods are called at different times. The stateless widget does have an immutable state. That means after it's created, it cannot be changed anymore. When the stateless widget is inserted into the tree by a parent widget, the build function is called. For updating a state for a stateless widget, you would have to recreate the whole widget again, or change an argument that the parent widget passes to the stateless widget. Stateful widgets are divided in two parts. You have the widget itself and then a separate state class. And the widget wraps the state. It is also called the build function when it is inserted into the tree. It is additionally called when the state is updated. Here in this case, the state is updated using setState. It increases a counter every time setState is called. And the state update is triggered by a button click. So every time you press the button in the UI, the state gets updated, then the build method runs, and then you see the updated counter value in the UI. Here the state is kept within the widget and updated via setState. For small apps this is okay, but most of the time you want to separate the state management from the UI, like with blocks or qubits. I can address this in another video, so make sure to subscribe if you want to know more about this. Apart from the setState function, there's another very useful one. It's called initState. So every time the widget gets inserted into the tree, this method is called once. In there you might want to initialize some data that you cannot create as constants, so data that has to be loaded at runtime, for instance. And there are much more things to talk about aside these basic concepts. If you don't want to miss out on new content about Flutter, make sure to subscribe. And let me know in the comments if this video helped you out.